All right, let's just jump right in. We all face temptation, right? But what if our whole strategy for fighting it is kind of wrong? What if it's less about willpower and more about what we desire most? We're going to unpack Psalm 63 as a battle plan for temptation, one that's not about trying harder, but about redirecting our deepest thirsts toward God.
See, at its core, temptation is often just a misplaced thirst. And this idea comes from King David. Now, to really get this, you have to know where he was when he wrote these words. He wasn't kicking back in a palace. No, he was out in the harsh, dry wilderness of Judah, a place of total deprivation and pressure. So this isn't some nice theory from a comfortable armchair. This is a survival strategy forged in the fire. And that really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? Temptation, it rarely knocks on the door when we're feeling strong and satisfied. It always seems to hit us when we're in our own personal wilderness, when we're tired or lonely or just completely stressed out. And it shows up looking like a desperate need for relief, for control, for any kind of escape from what we're feeling.
So what's David's first move? He says, "O God, you are my God, earnestly I seek you." And that word for earnestly seek in Hebrew is shachar. Now this is so important. It doesn't mean just passively waiting around to feel spiritual. It means to pursue, to chase after, like someone who wakes up at dawn with an urgent, undeniable need. The fight against temptation has to start with his active pursuit, because you know what? Temptation loves it when we're spiritually passive.
David is also incredibly honest here. He says, "My soul thirsts for you, my flesh faints for you." He's talking about a whole person craving. His soul, his nephesh, has this deep inner ache for satisfaction. And at the same time, his body, his basar, is physically exhausted. He gets it. He knows temptation strikes hardest when we're depleted, in both body and soul, when every part of us is thirsty for, well, something.
So what do you do with that all-encompassing craving? I mean, when you're in that wilderness, you can't always control your circumstances. But David shows us something amazing. You can choose what you crave. He shows us how to take that raw, desperate thirst and actually re-aim it, point it Godward, and turn the ache itself into an act of worship.
And this takes us to the real battlefield, which is what we believe in that moment. Temptation whispers these lies, right? God's not enough for this. I need relief right now. You know what? I deserve this. But Psalm 63 gives us the counterattack. Don't argue with your feelings. Preach God's character to them. Don't just grab for the relief. Name the bait and see the hook hiding inside. And instead of hiding in your shame, drag your thirst out into the open and offer it to God.
So what exactly are we preaching to ourselves? David anchors everything in this incredible Hebrew word chesed. This is not love like a fleeting emotion. This is covenant love. It's a loyal, steadfast, unbreakable mercy that's based 100% on God's character, not on how we're doing or what's happening around us. This is the bedrock that stands against all of temptation's empty promises.
And this verse right here, this is the absolute core of the battle plan, because your steadfast love is better than life. Just stop and think about that for a second. David is declaring that God's hesed, his loyal covenant love, is more valuable than life itself. And if it's better than life, it is for sure better than the cheap temporary relief that sin is offering. Making that declaration changes the entire fight.
So, how do we make this real? How do we get there? David moves from that place of craving to satisfaction. By deliberately rehearsing God's faithfulness. He remembers, he meditates on it. He's not trying to pretend he isn't thirsty. He's retraining his heart to find its real satisfaction in God, especially in those vulnerable moments, like in the middle of the night when the world is quiet. Here's one way to think about it. Temptation is like a campfire mirage in the desert. From a distance, man, it looks so good. It promises warmth and light and safety, but when you actually get up close, it does nothing but burn you. It leaves scars. And in the end, you're left colder and more alone than you were before. David is choosing the real fire, the actual life-giving presence of God.
So this really brings the challenge right to our doorstep. When you're at your weakest, when you're tired, lonely, stressed out, what's your default? What do you remember first? Is it God's presence and His promises? Or is it your go-to escape, that one thing you always run to for a quick fix? David's practice of remembering God in the night watches is a powerful form of spiritual warfare that we can absolutely learn from.
Now this leads us to a really crucial dynamic in this psalm. It's this perfect balance between our active responsibility to fight and our total dependence on God's grace to actually win. It's not one or the other, it's both, working together in this beautiful tension.
And you see it perfectly in verse 8. Here are the two sides of grace. You've got our part, my soul clings to you. That's our choice, our action, our fight. And then there's God's part. Your right hand upholds me. That's His divine power holding us up, especially when our own grip starts to weaken. We have to fight, but we get to fight in His strength.
And that word David uses for clings, it's dabak. It means to stick like glue, to hold on for dear life. This is not some weak, sentimental feeling. It's an active, intentional choice of loyalty. In that moment of temptation, we are making a conscious decision to dabak, to stick to God, instead of clinging to some other savior that's only going to let us down.
Okay, so let's pull this all together into a really practical battle plan we can use today. We can take these incredible truths from Psalm 63 and actually integrate them with the armor of God from Ephesians 6. It gives us a really powerful, tangible framework for the next time we're in the fight.
So the next time you feel that pull, put on your Psalm 63 armor. Fasten the belt of truth by reminding yourself God's steadfast love is better than life. Put on the breastplate of righteousness by declaring, I pursue holiness because I belong to Him. Raise the shield of faith to extinguish that fiery lie that God won't really satisfy. Put on the helmet of salvation to guard your mind with His covenant love. Wield the sword of the Spirit by actually speaking the promises of this psalm out loud. And finally, pray. Turn that craving into a direct request. God, satisfy my soul with you. So we'll end with this. Be honest with yourself for a moment. When you think about resisting your go-to temptation, what are you most afraid of losing? Is it comfort, control, relief? Now flip the question around. What might God, in His steadfast Hesed love, be offering you instead? Because the fight isn't just about avoiding a loss, it's about gaining something and someone infinitely better.